2016 annual meeting of Pecan Plantation Homeowners Association is called to order. Meeting's called to order. Mr. Herzog is our secretary. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, in accordance with PPOA Bylaw Article 6, Section 6 quorum, the members holding 10% of the total voting rights of the corporation shall constitute a quorum at the membership meeting. A quorum was established with both members present and ballots cast.
Are there any changes to the annual minutes of the March 7th meeting for 2015? If not, those minutes will be approved as published. At this time, I would like to recognize our outgoing board members, Mr. Wally Herzog and Mr. Robert Maurer. They, along with me, will be our last meeting. I think I can speak for all of us when I want to thank our membership, those that supported us and those that questioned us. Also want to thank all of our volunteers. Thank Michael Bartholomew and all the managers, many of them here today, and our staff. All of them make our work possible. We appreciate all their support. I now will yield the floor to Robert Maurer, our treasurer, for the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to read the opinion of the auditor, Rylander, Clay, and Opitz, who we contracted with every year for the last 4 or 5 years to do the audit. Here is their signed opinion. In our opinion, the consolidated final statements referred to above fairly and in all material respects the financial position of Pecan Plantations Owners Association Incorporated as of October 31st, 2015, and the results of its operations, the changes in its member and tenant fund balances, and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with the accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. I know this is at least 4 of these opinions that have been rendered clean because I've been present at that time. How many occurred before that, I'm not familiar with. Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Bartholomew will give us the annual financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer, Madam President. We're going to discuss our fiscal year ending October 31st, 2015. And as Mr. Maurer said, there's our opinion. I would like to thank our controller, Janice Shefsky, our accounting manager, Nancy Smith, and our entire staff for another clean audit. Actually, this is the 6th year in a row where we haven't had a management letter, which means there were no corrective actions that needed to take place as a result of the audit. Here's our cash position as of October 31st. You can see we do have ample cash, $668,000 operating cash at the end of October 31st, 2015. And let's talk a little bit about how the year ended. We're going to talk about our revenues first of all, our operations revenue. We ended the year with 2,981 members, which was up 29 members net, which was a good year for the association. Communications did $259,000 in total revenue. That was fueled by $181,000 in columns ad revenue. Big thank you to Dale Davis, who not only does the ad revenue, goes out and sells the ads, but also produces the columns, which is, I think, a great publication, and it works very hard to make sure it gets better and better each month. Food and beverage reached all-time highs in revenues, $1.241 million, $52,000 over our budgeted number. Golf department also exceeded their budget by $18,000 due to the $5 private cart fee increase. Marina had a slight missed plan of $764. PPLA and CC, we had 198 transfer fees. So we're able to generate $341,000 worth of revenue, $36,000 over our budget. Roads and grounds had 52 road maintenance fees, in addition to $71,000 in total building permits. So they exceeded their plan by $8,700. The inn had a slight increase over the budget of $2,500. Security and ACC, sticker revenue, both commercial and vehicle sticker revenue, we were able to bring in $117,000, $7,000 over our budgeted number. Stables remained full for the year, and sports and rec experienced some good campground revenue. So total revenues for the year, $6.396 million, $176,892 over our budget, and that is an all-time high for revenues. You can see the cost of goods sold corresponded with the increase in revenues for food and beverage. Golf was right on their plan, and the marina was down a little bit because of the gasoline revenue. Our labor expenses, we had a missed plan of $21,000. Of course, 2 months the kitchen was closed. We still tried to maintain operations, but we were spread out in all different areas. So we had a missed plan in food and beverage of $56,000. Had some overtime at the marina, a $5,000 missed plan on labor at the marina. All the other departments you can see, G&A, roads and grounds, were positive. Security and ACC, Abel Laurel went part-time from ACC compliance officer to full-time. So we had a missed plan of $7,400 in security and ACC. Small miss for stables. Sports and recreation exceeded their plan or spent less for labor. And facilities maintenance, due to the aging facility, we had to spend a little bit extra for overtime. And so we spent $3,499,597, a missed plan of $21,794. Looking at our expenses, communications had a missed plan of $9,300. That was all in hardware expense. We have security cameras throughout all the associations in all areas. Those need to be replaced. Printers, point-of-sale machines, all those things added up. We had to spend a little bit more than we budgeted. Food and beverage, all the paper and plastic materials that we needed to buy during the renovation caused us to miss plan by $2,600. Golf expenses, missed a plan of $29,500. $18,000 of that was irrigation repairs, and the rest was additional fertilizer and golf course applications to improve the condition of the golf course. Member services, election expenses were a little higher than we anticipated. We also spent $4,000 on our member survey. And our annual membership volunteer luncheon was a little bit more expensive than we anticipated, so we had a missed plan there. Roads and grounds, $16,000 missed plan. That is all in road crack seal material. We tried to crack seal all 52 miles of roads, and Daniel and his crew has done so each of the last 4 years or 6 years that he's been here. And that is a huge task. The inn had to buy some linens, towels, and supplies for the inn, so we had a $5,000 missed plan there. Stables, hay and feed expense were more than we expected. Sports and rec department, we had a huge year for the pools. The pools were extremely active, so we had to bring in more lifeguards and spent $15,000 more than we anticipated in sports and recreation. In facilities maintenance, we spent $42,000 more than we were budgeted, just due to the aging facility and all the repairs that we had to take place in all the buildings of the association. But when you look to the bottom line, when it's all added up, we did meet our financial target. That is a positive number of $40,313 on a budget of $2,351, positive variance of $37,962 for the year. This takes a look at our revenues. You can see we've had a nice increase in revenues. 2012, that was the year that the golf course renovation took place, so you can see the drastic decline in revenues, but you can see we are trending in the right direction as far as revenues, which is really good to see. Net profit or loss, you can see that we are living within our means. The only year that we did go negative was 2012 because of the golf course. So we do have a balanced budget. And the capital asset reserve fund at $1.722 million at October 31st. One of the things that we've done 3 years ago is we did a capital asset reserve study. And the department managers went out and they inventoried all 1,400 of our assets. And then we met with the finance committee and put a useful life on each one of those assets and when we would think we would have to replace that. And that is all in that capital asset reserve study. That is a great tool for us, so now we know on an annual basis what our needs are going to be and the effect of those needs. And so this chart, what you see here, this is the net effect of that. So we forecasted how many initiation deposits and the $8 per month that all the residents paid, and then subtracted the anticipated spend each year, and this is the fund balance at the end of each of those years. So between the initiation fees and the $8, this shows us that we will have enough to take care of our existing assets for the next 10 years. We do have a governing, in our governing documents, the capital asset reserve fund cannot go lower than $500,000, and you can see that it will not. This is a living, breathing document that will change each year. Each time a new asset is brought on, we take a picture of it, put it in the software, and then each time an asset is retired, we take it away. And oftentimes, each summer when we start the capital budget, we start out with a real big number that theoretically needs to be replaced. Some things we can push off, and some things we have to bring forward. But it's just a great tool for the staff and for the finance committee to use. Likewise, the Road and Drainage Fund, you can see $707,000 as of October 31st, 2015. And the Road and Drainage, actually the Infrastructure Committee also has done the same study for the roads and drainage. And this is the net result of the income that we anticipate coming in, the $19 per month, minus what we're going to need to spend each year for roads and drainage. And these are the fund balances for each of the next 10 years. If you remember, the $9 is a permanent assessment. The $10 will expire in 2024. And you can see at that point, the $9 will not be enough to maintain our roads and drainage, so we'll be coming to the membership and asking for an extension of that $10. And at this point, it's just too early to actually know if that's going to be $10 or it's going to be less or more. But you can see we are in a good financial position all the way around. And so in summary, as you can see, the association is fiscally sound and positioned well for the future. And Mr. Treasurer, that concludes my annual financial report for fiscal year 2015.
Thank you, Michael, and special thanks to all of your staff and their work. Those numbers don't come out of the sky. They are generated by thought and work and execution by our staff. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank you for a wonderful report. I now call for a motion from the floor for approval of board actions for 2015.
Madam President, I wish to move that we approve the actions of the board for fiscal year 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Bazan. Thank you. Mr. Bartholomew, will you please give us your manager's report?
Thank you, Madam President. Let's talk a little bit about our association, some of the things that are happening. First of all, we'd like to introduce our staff. First of all, Carla Hastings. Carla Hastings has been with us 10 years, and she will be leaving us. We're sad to say. She's moving to Galveston, but she's been with us for a long time. And on behalf of myself, department managers, the board, and all the residents, thank you so much for everything you've done, Carla. We're going to miss you. Mary Smith, sitting to her right, is going to be taking over for her. Mary was our membership director, and so she'll be taking over. So Mary, congratulations. She's actively getting trained as we speak, and she'll be moving into that position as soon as Carla rides off to the beach. Our clubhouse manager, John Thomas, has been with us 6 years. John, raise your hand. Thank you very much. Communications manager, David Jeffries, 9 years of tenure. Thank you, David. Controller, Janice Shefsky, 10 years of tenure. Thank you, Janice. Golf course superintendent, Michael Underwood, 17 years of tenure. Thank you, Michael. Golf front of back, Bobby White, 26 years of tenure. Thank you, Bobby. Roads and Grounds Supervisor Daniel Van Patten, 4 years of tenure. Daniel, thank you very much. Ty Harper couldn't be with us today. He's at a family reunion. He's been with us 9 years. But Abel Laurel, who I just mentioned, our new full-time compliance officer, is sitting in for him today. And finally, Keith Casterlin, 21 years of service, Sports and Rec Manager. That equates to 115 years of total service among our department managers. So thank you very much, all of our department managers, for all your service. Also, I would like to introduce my wife, Christy. She's hiding in the corner there, so I'll say hello to Christy. Thank you for coming. And here's all the responsibilities of each of our department managers. Mr. Harper is in charge of our patrols and gates. Roads and Grounds Manager, Daniel Van Patten, ACC, Maintenance, Roads and Grounds. And last year we moved the clubhouse grounds, the tennis grounds, and the sports fields over to Roads and Grounds from golf course maintenance to free up Mr. Underwood and his staff to concentrate on the golf course. So Daniel thanked Michael very, very much for that. And Communications Manager, Collins Publications and IT, David and John run all the IT, and we have our own network, and they do just a fantastic job keeping everything running. We have a wireless network, which is very complicated, and that's how we communicate to our remote sites. Clubhouse Manager, John Thomas, the kitchen, food and beverage service, catering, member services, reception, housekeeping, and the marina. Lots of responsibility. Of course, golf professional, Bobby White, pro shop, driving range, and course play. Michael Underwood, golf course maintenance. Keith has quite a lot of responsibility, the tennis, the pack, pool operations, campground, parks, and the stables operation. And finally, our controller, Janice Shefsky, membership, accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll, and human resources. But again, thank you to all of our department managers for everything you do. You all do a great job. This is a slide of our membership growth. You can see through the years, those are the net increase. You can see what happened in 2008. It pretty much shut down when the recession hit. In the last 3 years, or actually 4 years, we've had pretty consistent growth. And this year we're expecting about the same, 30 net members. A lot of it will depend on Orchard 12 and the success and the building activity that we anticipate to see this year in Orchard 12. The annual assessment breakdown, most of you know this, but just as a point of reference. Total assessment $127.75, of which $90.75 goes to operations. So out of that, we get $90.75, and that's to run the whole association. $8 is dedicated to the Capital Asset Reserve Fund, along with all of the initiation deposits. That is dedicated funds, so that cannot be touched. It has to go into the capital asset reserve fund. And $19 dedicated. We have a permanent fund, $9, as I mentioned earlier, is dedicated and permanent. And $10 that was voted on in 2013 will remain until 10/31/2024, and then we'll be coming to the membership and probably asking once more to extend that fund, because as you well know, the roads are in great shape right now, and we'd like to keep them that way in the future. Taking a look at the budget, I think I'll just go to this side. This is our budget compared to our actual 2015 numbers. We have our total revenues going up $120,000. $90,000 of that is from departmental increases. So we expect some nice increases in our departments, and $29,000 from a membership increase or net new members. Cost of goods sold going up $15,779. You can see our labor, taxes, and benefits going up 4.1%, 2.5% for a merit pool increase. Also penalties for the ACH, the Affordable Health Care Act, and also taking our ACC employee laurel up to full-time. You can see our operating departments we expect to remain flat, so we're going to try to really hold our expenses to pretty much what we spent this year. Total expenses of $5.634 million compared to prior year, $5.4 million, $143,000 increase. But you can see we still have a balanced budget, a small balance of $1,619. So we will still live within our means in 2016. 2015 was a very busy year for capital expenditures. You can see all the projects there. One of the really important projects that we did was the HVAC control system. In the past, sometimes when you adjusted one thermostat, it would affect another room upstairs, and that was a constant problem for years. But we finally got a new control system, and now we have individual room controls. So everybody has been much more comfortable in their rooms. And again, thank you to Daniel and his crew for making that happen. Kitchen renovation, golf course equipment, two other big spends, the tennis court lighting and resurfacing, $114,000, and $350,000 in various drainage projects. And you can see the rest of the capital expenditures that were completed in 2015. That's what our old kitchen looked like. That's what a 40-year-old kitchen looks like. You can see the old quarry tile that we still had. It was just in dire need of renovation, and we completely renovated it. We did find a few surprises when we started the project. We found out that the walls were totally rotted out, so we had to make some changes on the fly, and the end result is this, our brand new kitchen. And you can see right here, these are heat lamps that pull down, and this is the area right in here where we plate up our private parties. So a private party plating can go on while the a la carte operation is in business. And so what would happen is the cooks and the chef would line up on this side, the servers pick up on this side, and then they go out to the rooms. Behind the line here, right there, that's you can't really see it, but that's what we call a combi oven. That's a great piece of equipment. It generates steam, and it's also a convection oven. Also, we have a tilt skillet back there, a big mixer, and our pizza operation is also back there. And then the hot line here, this is where the cooks prepare the food. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did is make sure everything was on casters so it could be moved out and cleaned easily. And then the floor, we are very particular about the floor. This is a poured floor with no seams, so we can just hose it down, pull that equipment out, and keep the kitchen clean. Also, refrigeration was a big issue in the old kitchen, so all the areas on the line, there's refrigeration beneath all those areas. So if they need to pull a steak, they just open up the drawer and throw it on the grill. This side here, this is a service station here. When the servers print their ticket and hit send, it prints out on the hot line. That's a printer right there. It also prints out on what we call the expo line. And we have an expediter right here, and that person's job is to make sure the food gets out in a timely fashion and takes a look at the plate, make sure it's of the quality that we need it to be, and make sure that the food's readily served to the residents in a timely fashion. And this gets to be a very hectic area during a busy evening. We were fortunate enough to, again, add some refrigeration and just a condiment area. And so this is the area that will do all of our prep, the expediter, and get everything ready for the food. But thank you to the board for the approval of the kitchen. The kitchen staff is really enjoying it, and it's really improved our overall food and beverage operation. One of our things that's been a big hit is our rustic river trail, and we continue to improve that. If you've never been down there, it's right across from the campgrounds down on Ravenswood. You'll see some signage down there that was done by Taylor Flatbush as an Eagle Scout project. Those are some of the actually poison oak and ivy, what to avoid, a little schematic of the trail. And then this is a boating center that the Brazos River Sportsman's Club put in. And that is just a really neat place. There's all sorts of activity going down there. If you haven't been down there lately, recently they installed 17 new boathouses, have built 22 more, and will be installing them along the trail. And some of the residents have seen owls, bald eagles, all sorts of wildlife, and it's just a great place. If you've never been down there, that's along the Brazos River. Daniel and his crew did such a good job compacting that mulch down. When it flooded, that mulch, believe it or not, stayed in place. We just had to spruce up a couple areas, but it was amazing that it actually stayed in place. Very scenic, peaceful walk if you've never been there. We've started on our second, what we're calling the Clubhouse Rustic Trail. That'll start out behind the clubhouse over here by the putting green. And that's actually a bench that our Boy Scout troop installed a few years ago, Troop 2005, before they unfortunately disbanded. That's a picture of the trail. You can see it's not finished. We're clearing it out, getting it ready to add the mulch to it. You'll go down this way, and there'll be a few switchbacks. That's the area before we've improved it. You can kind of see where you're going to go through the trail there. Very scenic, some nice rock outcroppings throughout the trail. And you can see the elevation changes. That's the gazebo. So you'll be looking up at the gazebo. So it's quite a walk. It's a little bit more challenging than our current trail. But still, Daniel made sure to make sure there are switchbacks so that it is, you won't have to go up too many steep hills. Another nice rest area that we'll use. We'll also be installing some of the tennis benches when we get the new ones installed. So about 30 to 45 days, we hope to open up that trail. We'll have a grand opening ceremony, and please take advantage of it. I think you'll enjoy it. 2016 capital projects. Our telephone system is very antiquated, so we want to replace that. In addition, I talked about our wireless network. What's happened over the years is as our trees have grown up, we need line of sight from the antenna on the roof to our remote locations. So we're going to have to do some work on the towers to make sure that we can maintain our wireless network. And David Jeffries is taking bids on that project, and we'll be bringing that to finance within the next couple of months. We did some sprucing up of the hotel rooms. Aaron Reed, our front desk supervisor, did a great job. We're nearly complete with that project, with the exception of new locks on the doors. We're going with RFID technology, more secure. Now we have the old keys, and we're going to newer technology, and we can time those cards out so that when somebody leaves, they'll be deactivated. Kitchen equipment, ice machines, golf course, pro shop stairs and patio. That's on the side, on this side of the building. If you've ever walked down those stairs, it's really awkward to go down those stairs, so they need to be replaced. We do have an issue with the bottom step in that we have a lot of electrical wires and other things that we have to take care of. But you'll soon will see that project started, along with a patio on the side of the hill near the pro shop. Number 17, pond wall. Construction has started on that project as we speak. Hopefully the rain won't affect that too much next week. We have 2 irrigation pumps on number 9 pond of the golf course. We replaced one a couple years ago, and now it's time to replace the other one. That is in process as we speak, along with $76,000 of golf course equipment. Roads, grounds, and maintenance equipment. The major item purchased this year was a backhoe that is on property being used on a daily basis. Grounds improvement, and hopefully you've noticed a new back circle marquee. If you've came in the back circle, the old one is now taken down, and we have a new back circle marquee. And that's the start of the improvement of the back circle. We will be adding irrigation to the back circle this year, and then in future years we will be doing some improvements, much like the front circle, working with the Green Thumb Garden Group. They do a great job, and they're going to be our consultants for that project over the next few years. Sports and Recreation has a few projects. We're down to archery range, a new shooting structure to shoot underneath. Stables repair and equipment of $52,000. Pool repairs, that's the electrical inside the main clubhouse pool. Tennis benches are in. They need to be put together, but they are in. Scissor lift for the pack is in, and it's being used quite readily. It was a much needed piece of equipment. And pack maintenance storage, we don't have any location to store the mowers down there, and since we have somebody that's in charge of that area, we want to enlarge the storage down there so that we can keep the mower down there. It doesn't have to be trailered in each day. Marina boat fuel dispenser and floating dock, that project, we're working with the BRA, and we'll be bringing that forward depending on how the bids come out. And security radios, it's about time to replace our communications with our radios and an ACC compliance truck for $20,000. As far as our 2016 road and drainage project, road repairs, we're looking at one major road repair from the Highway 167 as you come into Pecan Plantation up into the bridge. If you've been on that road lately, that is failing, and so we will restore that road much like we did Westover. In addition to that, the PAC overflow parking is the other road repair that we have planned this year. Drainage projects we have currently in place, total 2016 road and drainage budget of $672,282. The PAC, you can see, I know you can't read this, so I just wanted to bring out a couple highlights to the PAC. The PAC had 28,092 members coming to the facility last year. 28,000 people that came to the PAC. In addition to that, nearly 22,000 people came to the pools, an average of 199 each day. And you can see just all the things that the PAC does. There are presently 16 fee-based classes. They're adding activities on a daily basis. And pickleball is the latest rage down at the PAC. If you haven't played pickleball, it's a little bit easier on the knees, and we've seen just a lot of success. We have a pickleball association now. A lot of people are playing pickleball. We have an outdoor court that will soon be installing a little fence behind it so the ball won't roll down the hill. And you can see all the meetings that are held at the PAC. But the PAC has just been a big, big success all the way around. A couple of the big functions coming up, the Easter egg hunt, one of our biggest events down at the PAC. Unique car show this year will be on May 21st. We want to move that up a little bit, get out of the heat. So that's been very, very successful. This will be the third year of that. The polling station, Precinct 16, is the busiest one in all of Granbury. So those of you who voted this week probably realized that because there was a wait for most of the day. And then upcoming activities, I just want to point out probably one of the neatest things we do is each year we bring in the Missoula Children's Theater. And this year that will take place between January 25th and the 30th. The play this year is Blackbeard the Pirate. So if you have kids or grandkids, we have auditions the first day. and 2 performances on July 30th. And you can see all the many, many activities at the PAC. So the PAC has been a big, big hit. Each year we like to recognize our volunteers. We have over 300 member volunteers in all areas, not on committees, but helping out in all areas of the association. This year our volunteer luncheon, recognition luncheon, will take place on May 12th. It is sign-up time for committees, so the sign-up sheets are located at the reception desk. They'll be out there until March 27th. The committee chairpersons will be approved at the April 7th board meeting. The chairpersons will then formulate their committees during the month of April for final committee approval on Thursday, May 5th. And finally, I would just like to thank our outgoing board members, Wally Herzog, Robert Maurer, and of course, President Winnette Burns, and all of our volunteers and staff that make Pecan Plantation the great place it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. When he was announcing the longevity of our managers, I think we owe Mr. Bartholomew a huge debt of gratitude for keeping such wonderful employees.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You may have noticed that our attendance just doubled. And these people have been upstairs voting, counting your votes. So I'm going to catch them up just a little bit. We had a motion from the floor to approve the board actions for the year 2016, and we had 2015, fiscal year 2015, and we had a second. And I'm going to ask for all the members to approve that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. Now I'm going to yield the floor to Ross Carnes.
Thank you, Madam President. Is this on? Thank you, Madam President. When we moved here a few years ago, we couldn't believe what a unique community we moved to. We were amazed by the number of people who volunteered to do different things for the committee, or for the association. It's my honor today to recognize some people who have volunteered to serve as members of the board for this coming year. I'd like to mention their names now. The first one is Bob Cote, Roger Eads, Beverly Franson, Doug Green, Joe Hartman, and John Shirley. Would you like to stand so we can recognize
Yes,
you, please?
would you all stand? Thank you so much for that, for stepping up to the plate to volunteer to run for the board. It's hard to believe that that's one of the hardest jobs, is to fill out that slate. The next item, I believe all the election has been completed. The votes have been counted. So I'm going to call on Mr. Dick Kite, our election committee chair.
Thank you, Madam. As with everything else at Pecan, the election committee is a volunteer organization. They've gotten together at least 3 times, gotten a lot of support from management. All of the ballots are printed. The election committee has to put them all together. There's a day of folding, collating, and getting ready so that management can then stamp them and send them out. So I'd like to recognize the election committee. Anybody here that was on the committee, please stand up. There should be about 40. All right. There's 4 judges and 1 senior judge. The judges were Maureen Cotton, Lloyd Jones, please stand up if you're here, Clyde Wilson, and Bob Zimsky. And our Our senior judge is Chris Philodoro. You here, Chris? Okay. We do have the results. I'll go in reverse alphabetical order. John Shirley received 446 votes. Joe Hartman, 458. Doug Green, 604. Beverly Franson, 660. Roger Eads, 463. And Bob Cote, 541. So for those not taking notes, our next three board members are Bob Cote, Beverly Franson, and Doug Green.
Thank you, Mr. Kite, and thank you to the election committee. I'm going to yield the floor to Mr. Herzog, our secretary, for establishing our bylaws committee.
Thank you. The names we have for the bylaw committee is Thomas Bazone, Robert Maurer, Mike Wavinius, Ricky Eads, and the board member, Dick Kite.
All right, thank you, Mr. Herzog. Are there any, there would be no motions from the floor, so I call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the bylaws committee, raise your right hand. Oh, I need a second, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve.
Sorry, I'm telling Carl, she didn't hear you.
Oh, Doug made the seconded the motion. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the bylaws committee named by Mr. Herzog. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? All right.
I also make a motion that Bob Maurer be approved as chairman of the bylaws committee, and I need a second.
Madam President, I'll second that motion.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve Robert Maurer as a chairman of the bylaws committee. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. That's unanimous. I now will yield the floor to Mr. Carnes for election of the board officers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion that Robert
I
Kanan
can't hear you very well.
Yes, Madam President, I make a recommendation that Robert Kamen be named as Vice President for the 2016-2017 board year.
All right, Dr. Robert Kamen has been
I second.
nominated. All right.
I'll second.
Mr. Herzog seconds the motion. Are there any other nominations? If not, then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Secretary, Mr. Carnes.
Yes, Madam President, I make a motion that John Jakely be named as Secretary for the 2016-2017 board year.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded that John Jakely serve as secretary. Are there any other nominations? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, treasurer. Mr. Carnes?
Yeah, Madam President, I make a motion that Dan Kreis be named as treasurer for the 2016-2017 board year.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Any other nominations? All right, then all those in favor of Dan Kreis to serve as treasurer, raise your right hand. All right, now our president-elect.
Madam Secretary, I make a motion in accordance with Article 8, Section 2, that the President-elect, Doug Ward, assume the President's position for 2016-2017.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor of Doug Ward assuming presidential position for 2016 and 2017 board year, raise your right hand. All right. we've already had the new board members, so I want to congratulate all our new directors that will serve on our board. And I want to introduce Clayton Hearn, who is our attorney, and he's going to swear in our new officers. If you will approach the dais up there.
I'm going to start with officers.
Officers, please. The new officers.
Let's get a microphone here.
Okay, we're going to do these together now. At the point where I... John. The only variation we're likely to have is your names and the office you were elected to. So when I say your office, name whatever office you've been elected to. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of your office.
Faithfully execute the duties of my office.
Of Pecan Plantation Owners Association and Pecan Plantation Country Club.
Pecan Plantation Owners Association and Pecan Plantation Country Club.
And will to the best of my ability.
And will to the best of my ability.
Defend and fulfill the dictates and obligations.
Defend the dictates of the article.
Good enough. I'll try to. I'm trying to bite off fewer words at a time. Imposed upon me by the bylaws.
Imposed upon me by the bylaws.
Of said association.
Of said association.
And the various restrictive covenants.
And the various restrictive covenants.
Of Pecan Plantation Subdivision.
Of Pecan Plantation Subdivision.
Without bias or favor toward any member.
Without bias or favor toward any member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pass these around, you guys can sign them.
And now I'd like the new board members to come forward to be sworn in. And present you the gavel.
So much. Appreciate that.
It is. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of a director of Pecan Plantation Owners Association and Pecan Plantation Country Club, and will to the best of my ability defend and fulfill the dictates and obligations imposed upon me by the bylaws of said association and the various restrictive covenants of Pecan Plantation Subdivision without bias or favor toward any member. So help me God. Congratulations. Fill them out. Like printed there.
We've completed our annual meeting of members of Pecan Plantation, and I declare this meeting adjourned.